Good morning, class. For today's reader's workshop, we will be doing something a little bit different. Instead of reading a chapter from Frog and Toad, I'm going to read this poem. You can also read it on your own, and you'll be answering questions about this poem. Now, don't think, oh, this is so easy, there's less reading. It actually requires you to think even more. So you should be spending the same amount of time thinking about your answers as you would if you were answering questions about a read aloud. You also have the Charlotte's Web afternoon read aloud, and hopefully parents are reading to you as well, because it's super important that we do a read aloud every single day. And you should also be doing independent reading on your own too for about 15 to 30 minutes. So I really hope you are all reading on your own too. The studies show children that read every single day are going to be way happier and successful and better at school and make more money. And I cannot stress it enough. So I did want to work on comprehending some poetry, and I didn't want to give you little kiddie poems. So we're going to go to another level, higher than, say, like a nursery rhyme or something like that. Let's look at something a little bit more challenging. And the questions you have to answer are, how many lines are in the poem? And that should be pretty easy because we know a line is a row of words. So let's just look at the first stanza here. How many lines are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I actually notice a pattern, and you'll see this in poetry a lot. There are how many lines in each stanza? The same amount of lines in each stanza. So that should be pretty easy. Count all the lines. And then, remember, you're not counting all the sentences. You're counting all the lines. And then you're going to count the stanzas. And the stanzas are a paragraph of poetry. So these first 4 lines is stanza 1. I just want to get you familiar with this word stanza because it's a poetry term and you'll have to know it. So count the stanzas. Super easy. You should be able to do that. And then the last question is the one I'm paying special attention to. What do you think this poem is about? Or what is the message in this poem? Really tell me what you think the poem is about, the message, and then you have to give text evidence to support your answer. And that means I think this poem is about blank because it says blank in the poem. You can use quotes if you're copying word for word with your text evidence, or I encourage students to put it into their own words. So I think this poem is about space because it talks about the sun and the stars. This poem is not about space, but I was giving you an example. Just that's the because is the evidence. Don't just tell me what the message is, tell me why. So let's read the poem and see what we think, because poetry is meant to be spoken. It's the music of words. It's song. You have to say it. All right, here we go. This is called VAL by Gwen Brooks. When grown-ups at parties are laughing, I do not like the sound. It doesn't have any frosting. It doesn't go up from the ground. So our speaker here is our speaker a child or a grown-up? I think it's a child because it says when the grown-ups are at parties laughing. So our speaker in our poem is not a grown-up, but the speaker is looking at the grown-ups laughing. All right, let's read the second stanza. So when my daddy chased me away from the bend in the stair with a get about your business, I didn't really care. Look at the rhymes we notice. I notice stare and care rhyme. Do me and business rhyme? No. So we don't have to rhyme everything, but sometimes in poems we do see rhymes, and we always find the rhymes at the end. It's the last word of a line. And you'll notice when I read poetry, I don't pause at the end of a line unless there is a period or a comma. So you just read it straight through. I notice a lot of students stop at the end of every line and do a big pause, and that's not what you're supposed to do. The lines are there to make you pause a little bit, but don't pause like a period. All right, last stanza. I'd rather be in the basement. I'd rather be outside. I'd rather get my bicycle and ride. So notice ride and outside. Rhyme. Again, we notice the rhyme sound and ground. So I notice some rhyming in this poem. I'm just going to read it again straight through without pausing at all. When grown-ups at parties are laughing, I do not like the sound. It doesn't have any frosting. it doesn't go up from the ground. So when my daddy chased me away from the bend in the stair with a "get about your business," I didn't really care. I'd rather be in the basement. I'd rather be outside. I'd rather get my bicycle and ride. So, what is this poem telling us? It really comes from a child's point of view, and that's our speaker. And she calls daddy. We know that. It doesn't say I am a child, but we know it because it says daddy and it says grown-ups. And the child is paying attention to the grown-ups. And how is she feeling? So I can't wait to read your answers. Tell me what you think the message is in this poem, because all poems have a message. I look forward to reading your answers. Like I said, thank you for watching. I know this Reader's Workshop's a little bit different, but we're still reading books. We're still watching read-alouds. So just because there's not as many words doesn't mean there's not as much thinking. And actually, I would argue there is more thinking. So answer those questions, post your responses to Dojo, and I will talk to you soon. Happy Friday. I said that yesterday and it was Thursday. I got my days mixed up.